My PowerPoint's titled Designing and Building the Wind Tunnel for Aerospace Science. How it began. Our wind tunnel project started when we had received a complete wind tunnel from KVEC. Our class immediately began working on it and with it. Through our work, we realized that the wind tunnel had certain imperfections that caused varying results while testing. Realizing this, our class came up with the idea of building a new wind tunnel and even scaling it to a larger size to allow for airfoils to be tested. The wind tunnel here we have a display downstairs also. This is the exhaust, the test section, and the intake. A wind tunnel is a device used to create artificial air currents in order to test airfoils or other objects' lift, thrust, and drag forces. The wind tunnel creates an air current by pulling air from the opposite end of it and forcing it through an area that continuously decreases in size. In order to test airfoils within the tunnel, we use two force sensors to record its thrust and lift. We also use an anemometer in order to record the speed of the air that is flowing through the wind tunnel. Using all of this, we are able to determine the parameters of an airfoil. These are pictures from where we went down to our vocational school and began working on construction of our foil. The wind tunnel exhaust. This portion of the wind tunnel is the portion that causes the wind flow. The exhaust contains a fan which forces air through the tunnel. The fan operates in a way that is actually pulling air from the diffuser section of that so air flows down the entire tunnel. This is how the tunnel itself is able to function. There's usually a piece on the side which is a knob where we'll adjust the wind currents. This is more on the exhaust. The wind tunnel exhaust actually functions as a secondary funnel for the air being pulled through the tunnel, the first being the diffuser. The exhaust starts to funnel at the end of the test section closest to it. The area of the opening at the end of the test section is half of that through the area of the opposite end of the exhaust. This is how the fan at the end of the exhaust is able to create such a power air current. The wind tunnel test section. We use this section to conduct and carry out investigations in this section. We have a major component that is the instrument we use to collect data, an anemometer, and the airfoil. Some experiments we have performed are where we change the angle of the foil and the speed of the wind. We create 3 different types of foils: 3D printed, hand-carved balsa wood, and regular wood boards carved by the hand I bought we recently received. The wind tunnel's intake. This area is the third and final piece. It is the tallest piece. This piece acts as a giant funnel that helps pull the air into the tunnel. The area of the piece's 2 large openings have 2-to-1 ratio. This helps to have a correct scaling within the piece. Creating our airfoils. Once we received the wind tunnel, class was tasked with creating airfoils test within the tunnel. We created airfoils using 2 different methods. Some airfoils were created by hand using templates, creating a frame using balsa wood. After the frame was put together, we then wrapped them using a heat shrink wrap. We also created some of the airfoils using a 3D modeling program called Tinkercad, and then printed them using an XYZ DaVinci 1.0 3D printer. Our 3D airfoils. We create a majority of our airfoils using 3D printers and 3D modeling software. We use 3D printers to print our airfoils. One of these printers is an XYZ DaVinci 1.0. This is our most basic printer and the one we have been using the longest. It possesses an available workspace of 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. The program in which we model and create is known as Tinkercad. The types of airfoils. We modeled 3 different types of airfoils to test within the tunnel, which are semi-symmetrical, symmetrical, and flat bottom. This is the semi-symmetrical. Semi-symmetrical airfoils have an even axis. They can be cut straight down the middle and be almost equal. The symmetrical airfoil, they can be cut in half and both sides can be perfectly matched and have an even axis. The flat bottom airfoil features a flat bottom as well as a curved and shaped top to control the airflow. In conclusion, by creating a wind tunnel, we are able to find the parameters, namely drag force and its lift force in terms of speed of any airfoil that we created using a 3D printer. For different shaped airfoils we are able to acquire. These are some of the tests that we have run on airfoils. This was an undercambered foil at a 30-degree angle at 4 different wind speeds. And this is another airfoil at 0 angle, and it was also undercambered. We would like to thank all the members of KVEC for providing the ARI grant, Mr. Daniel Carter, Mr. Paul Williamson, and his students at Belfry Vocational School for helping us build our second wind tunnel, Belfry administration for all the help and integration, and our teacher, Dr. HaridasChandranD, for all of his help and support throughout the school year.